Ladies and gentlemen, woman, you ever sit in a room full of people and still feel like no one sees you? You ever look up at the ceiling, tears in your eyes, wondering, why is this happening to me? You ever pray, trust, give everything you got, and life still knocks you down like you did something wrong? Listen to me. This message is for the woman who's holding it together in public, but breaking down in private. You didn't come here by accident. You need to hear this. Just because life doesn't make sense right now doesn't mean you're not being blessed behind the scenes. Stay with me. This may just be the reason your soul starts healing tonight. Faith is strongest when you're at your weakest. That's not just a nice phrase. It's the truth most people learn when life brings them to their knees. When everything around you is falling apart, when your mind is racing for answers and you're left with silence, that's when real faith is born. Not the kind of faith you post about, not the kind that sounds good in conversation. I'm talking about the kind of faith that gets tested in the fire, the kind that makes you cry yourself to sleep and still wake up the next day saying, I don't get it, but I'm still here. It's easy to trust when life is smooth. It's easy to smile when everything makes sense, when the bills are paid, when the people you love are standing by your side, when your plans are working the way you imagined. That's not faith, that's comfort. But what happens when the job falls through, when the people you trusted walk away, when the ones you prayed for turn their back on you? That's where you find out what you really believe. Faith doesn't require all the pieces to fit. It doesn't need every question to be answered. Faith is standing on nothing and still believing that something is holding you up. It's that inner strength that says, even though I can't see the way, I still believe there is a way. And you may not realize it, but when you are at your lowest, when your strength is gone and your soul feels heavy, that's when you are closest to the truth. Because it's not you holding you together anymore. Something greater is carrying you. Something unseen, something unshakable. And that's where the power comes from, not in understanding, but in surrender. Not in knowing the outcome, but in showing up anyway. That's faith. When you don't know how you're going to make it, but you keep moving. When you don't have the words to pray, but your tears say everything. When you feel abandoned by the world, but something deep inside tells you to hold on just a little longer. There's something sacred about your weakest moments, something divine in your brokenness. That's where the real transformation happens, because when you're strong, when you're in control, you're not listening. You're busy moving, busy planning, busy trying to fix everything on your own. But when life brings you to a place where all you can do is kneel, all you can do is cry, all you can do is whisper, help me, that's when your faith becomes real. That's when the shallow beliefs fade away and what's left is pure, raw trust. That's when your prayers stop being polite and start being powerful. That's when you stop performing for the world and start healing for yourself. Woman, if you're in that place right now, if you're confused, tired, frustrated, if you're wondering why it's all happening like this, I need you to understand something. Your weakness is not a sign of failure. It's an invitation to real strength. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to not have control. It hurts to watch people walk away. It hurts to feel like life is moving forward and you're being left behind. But hear me, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are being refined, shaped, strengthened, not in the way the world sees strength, but in the quiet, unshakable kind of strength that can't be taken from you. When you come out of this, and you won't come out the same. You'll be wiser, softer, but stronger. You'll understand peace in a deeper way. You'll stop needing everyone to understand you because you'll be grounded in truth. You'll know how to walk alone if you have to, because you've already walked through the fire. So don't despise this season. Don't rush it. Let it do its work. Let the pain teach you. Let the silence show you what noise tried to cover up. Let the delay deepen your dependence. Because when you have nothing left but trust, you find out that trust is enough. There is a blessing on the other side of this breaking. There is light after this tunnel. There is peace after this storm. And the strength you're building right now will carry you for the rest of your life. So if you feel weak, let yourself feel it. But don't mistake weakness for defeat. You are not defeated. You are not forgotten. You are just in the middle of becoming the version of yourself you are always meant to be. And in that becoming, trust. Trust even when it doesn't make sense. Trust even when it hurts. Because what's coming next will make every tear worth it. Every lonely night. Every unanswered question. Every moment you wanted to give up but chose not to. Hold on, woman. Your faith is growing right where your strength is fading. And that's the most powerful kind of faith there is. Confusion is not defeat. Just because things don't make sense right now doesn't mean you've lost. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean you're off track. It means life is unfolding in a way that you weren't expecting, and sometimes that's exactly what needs to happen for you to reach your next level. We're taught to think that if it's not clear, it's not right. If the path isn't smooth, maybe we've taken a wrong turn. But that's not always true. In fact, the most powerful seasons of your life will often be the most confusing ones. Those are the moments when you're being pulled away from your comfort zone, when what used to make sense no longer does, when the people you counted on suddenly don't show up, when the plan you worked so hard on starts falling apart right in front of your eyes. That's not defeat, that's a shift. Confusion is often the signal that transformation is taking place. You're not being punished, you're being moved. You're being stretched. You're being challenged to grow. Because growth doesn't happen in clarity, it happens in chaos. When nothing's certain, when your back is against a wall, when you don't know what's coming next, that's when you dig deep. That's when you start to discover who you really are underneath all the noise. It's scary, it's frustrating. You ask yourself, why now? Why me? Why like this? But what you don't realize is that confusion forces you to pause. And in that pause, you learn to listen to something deeper than your own thoughts. You start paying attention to that inner voice that's been whispering to you all along. The one you've been ignoring because you were so busy trying to control every outcome. Woman, this season of uncertainty, it's not your enemy, it's an invitation. It's trying to teach you how to stop depending on logic and start depending on wisdom. It's asking you to stop running and start reflecting, to stop reaching out and start reaching in, because you don't need all the answers to move forward. You just need to be willing to keep walking, even when the road ahead is foggy. Too many people give up in the confusion. They assume the silence means they're alone. They think the delay means it's over. But that's not the truth. What feels like a setback might actually be a setup. What looks like a closed door could be protection. What feels like abandonment may be the beginning of real alignment. Let me tell you something real. Life will not always explain itself. You won't always get a warning before everything changes. You won't always understand why certain people leave, why plans fail, or why your heart has to break before it can heal. But just because you don't understand it now, doesn't mean there isn't meaning behind it. Some things only make sense in hindsight. Some lessons are only revealed after you've been through the storm. And the confusion you feel, it's part of the process. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are evolving. You are walking through unfamiliar territory because you're headed to unfamiliar blessings. And that means things won't always look pretty. The journey won't always feel good, but the destination, it's worth every step. Don't let confusion make you doubt your worth. Don't let the fog make you turn around. You have come too far to quit just because it doesn't all add up yet. Stay in it. Keep showing up. Keep trusting, keep believing that there is a reason you're being guided down a path you don't fully recognize. The truth is, clarity is a reward. It's what comes after you've been faithful in the fog. It shows up when you've trusted through the tears, stayed strong through the silence, and chosen peace over panic. And when that clarity finally comes, and it will, you'll realize that the confusion wasn't there to hurt you. It was there to prepare you. It was there to strengthen your faith, stretch your patience, and deepen your understanding. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by uncertainty, remember this. Confusion is not the end. It's a beginning. A beginning of a version of you that's wiser, stronger, and more resilient. A version of you that doesn't panic when the plan changes, but instead leans into the unknown with boldness. You're not defeated, woman. You're developing. You're learning how to stand tall in the dark. You're becoming someone who doesn't need all the lights on to know that she's still on the right path. So breathe. Let the confusion come. Let it move through you. Let it teach you. But don't let it define you. Because this is not where your story ends. It's where your power begins. Sometimes the most powerful moments in your life are the ones where you're forced to walk alone. Not because you wanted to, but because people you thought would be there weren't. It's a strange kind of pain, isn't it? Trusting someone with your heart, your truth, your time, only to find yourself standing in the silence they left behind. But woman, let me tell you something. Being left is not the same as being lost. Being alone is not the same as being abandoned. Sometimes separation is the starting line of your transformation. Not everyone is meant to walk the full journey with you. Some people are only designed for a season, and when that season ends, it can feel like betrayal. But in reality, it might just be protection, because if they could walk with you into your next chapter, they wouldn't have left. If they were strong enough to handle where you're headed, they'd still be standing beside you. But they're not, and that's okay. Being left alone is hard, it's uncomfortable, you start questioning your worth, you wonder what you did wrong, you replay the conversations, you analyze the silence. But here's the truth. Some people can't handle your growth. Some people can't understand your journey. And some people were only ever there to show you what you don't need anymore. Let that sink in. The pain wasn't pointless, it was a lesson. And the moment you stop trying to make sense of why they left is the moment you start to see the reason they had to go. Because your destiny is bigger than your history, and your calling will always require clarity. Sometimes that clarity doesn't come from words, it comes from absence. There's something sacred about solitude. When the noise dies down, when the distractions fall away, you start to hear the one voice that really matters, your own. You begin to recognize your own strength. You realize that you don't need constant validation to know your value. You don't need a crowd to feel complete. You don't need a cheerleader to keep moving forward. You've got something inside you that's unshakable, even when everything around you is falling apart. And don't get it twisted, your ability to be alone is not a weakness, it's a weapon. Because the woman who can walk alone is the woman who can lead. The woman who doesn't fall apart when people disappear is the woman who's anchored in purpose. The woman who can sit in her own silence and still feel full, that's the woman who has mastered her peace. You weren't left behind, you were set apart. For growth, for healing, for elevation. Sometimes you need to be alone so you can stop carrying what was never yours to hold. You need space to shed the weight of expectations, to break the cycles of codependency, to rediscover your own identity without someone else's shadow clouding it. I know it hurts. I know it's lonely. I know there are nights when you feel invisible, when the silence feels louder than a crowd. But you're not invisible. You're in hiding, on purpose. You're in the cocoon. And the thing about cocoons is this: they don't look like progress from the outside. They don't feel like movement. But inside, transformation is happening. Quietly, powerfully. This isn't the end of your story. It's the middle. And the middle is always messy. But it's also necessary, because when you come out of this, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger, wiser, more focused. You'll know who you are, you'll know what you deserve, and most importantly, you'll know that your strength doesn't come from who's beside you. It comes from what's inside you. So let them go. Let them walk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think they left you broken. What they don't realize is that they didn't leave you empty. They made room for clarity, room for growth, room for better connections, room for real love, the kind that sees you, the kind that stays. Keep walking, woman, even if your steps are slow, even if your heart is heavy, even if no one claps, because every step you take in solitude is a step toward your power. Every tear you cry in silence waters the seeds of your next season. And every time you choose not to go back, you're telling the world you're ready for more. Being alone doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're healing. It means you're evolving. It means you're on your way to becoming everything you were created to be, unshaken, undistracted, and undeniably strong. There's a reason why delay doesn't mean denial. But in the heat of the moment, when everything you hoped for seems to be taking longer than it should, it's easy to forget that. You pray, you plan, you pour your heart into something, and then it stalls. No movement, no signs, just silence. And in that silence, your mind starts to play tricks on you. You start questioning everything. Did I make a mistake? Am I even worthy? Was it ever meant to happen? When something is delayed, that doesn't mean it's denied. It doesn't mean it's canceled. It means it's being prepared. It means the timing isn't wrong. It's just not right yet. And when you can understand that, when you can trust that what's meant for you won't miss you even if it's running late, that's when you step into a whole new level of faith. Delay is often used as a tool to shape you, because some blessings require a version of you that hasn't arrived yet. If you were given everything you wanted the moment you asked for it, you'd take it for granted. You wouldn't be able to hold it. You wouldn't understand its weight. That's why the delay comes with lessons, with development, with discomfort. It's in that waiting season where you build the strength to carry what's coming. Woman, don't confuse waiting with wasting. That pause you're in, that's divine preparation. While you're wondering why it hasn't happened, something behind the scenes is being orchestrated in your favor. You're not being forgotten, you're being positioned. And sometimes what looks like nothing happening is actually everything coming together. You have to remind yourself, just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean it's locked. Just because the phone hasn't rung doesn't mean your name's not in the room. Just because the relationship didn't work out doesn't mean love isn't being prepared for you. You're not being punished. You're being preserved for the right place, the right time, and the right people. But here's where it gets tough. Waiting isn't easy, especially when you see others getting what you've been praying for. You see their progress, their promotions, their celebrations, and you're still in the hallway, still holding on to hope, still waking up with that ache in your chest. That's when comparison becomes your biggest thief, because the moment you start looking at someone else's timing, you start doubting your own. Don't do that. Their path isn't your path. Their pace isn't your pace. Your story isn't behind, it's just different. And what's coming for you is tailor-made, custom-built. No shortcuts, no duplicates, no copy-paste success. Your blessing has your name on it. So why rush it? Why try to force what's not ready? Every time something takes longer than you expected, you're being given a chance to grow stronger than you were. The delay gives you time to sharpen your focus, to heal the parts of you that still carry hurt, to detach from the things you thought you needed, only to realize they were distractions. That waiting period is not empty, it's powerful, but only if you don't quit in the middle of it. Don't walk away 5 minutes before the miracle. Don't abandon the journey just because the finish line isn't in sight yet. Keep showing up, keep preparing, keep believing that what's coming is bigger than what's gone. Because when it finally arrives, and it will, you'll understand why it had to take time. You'll see that the version of you now is more equipped than the version of you then, and you'll be thankful that it didn't happen a second sooner. You have to learn how to be still without giving up. You have to learn how to move forward in faith even when the road isn't clear, because sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come with warning. Sometimes it shows up after your last tear, your last doubt, your last, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And that's when the doors swing open. That's when the silence breaks. That's when everything that was held up is suddenly released. So woman, don't lose heart in the delay. Don't let the waiting season steal your passion or rob you of your peace. You're not forgotten. You're not disqualified. You're being refined. You're being shaped into someone who can handle the weight of the very thing you're waiting on. When the door finally opens, when the opportunity presents itself, when the answer you've been praying for shows up, you'll look back and realize that every second of waiting was worth it. Every delay had a purpose. Every pause had a reason. Because the promise was never denied, it was just delayed until you were truly ready. There will be moments in your life when everything looks like it's falling apart. The job didn't come through, the relationship ended, the plan fell flat, the door you prayed for slammed shut in your face. And in that moment, you're sitting there with your heart in pieces, trying to understand why things are going so wrong when all you wanted to do was get it right. You gave your best, you showed up with love, you believed with everything in you, and yet nothing worked out the way you thought it would. But woman, what you see as rejection is often redirection. What feels like a loss is sometimes a lesson in disguise, and what appears to be the end is really the beginning of something far greater than you could have imagined. It's hard to see clearly when you're in the middle of pain, but trust this, not every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's a rescue. Because the path you were begging to walk down might have been a dead end. The person you were crying to keep might have been the one that would have broken you beyond repair. That opportunity you thought was perfect might have cost you your peace. You don't see it in the moment, but you'll thank that no later. You'll thank that unanswered prayer. You'll thank that disappointment because it didn't derail your destiny. It protected it. When life doesn't go your way, that's not failure. That's wisdom at work. That's a higher plan unfolding. That's the universe rearranging things to put you in the right position. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, it makes you question everything. But there's a version of you on the other side of this pain that's stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever before. And that version of you can't be formed without fire. Growth rarely comes dressed in comfort. It usually shows up in the form of disruption. It's the heartbreak that teaches you how to love yourself. It's the betrayal that teaches you how to set boundaries. It's the failure that pushes you to dig deeper. The pain has a purpose. But you've got to be patient enough to let it reveal itself. You have to lose something you wanted to gain something you needed. You thought you needed them. You thought you needed that plan, that timeline, that outcome. But then life said, no, I have something better for you. And because it didn't come packaged the way you expected, you almost missed it. You almost walked away. You almost gave up. But you didn't. And that's what makes the difference. You didn't stop. You didn't let the pain define you. You kept showing up even when it felt like nothing was working. And that kind of persistence, it doesn't go unnoticed. That kind of faith, it moves mountains. That kind of heart, it can't stay broken forever. You've got to start trusting that sometimes the things that fall apart are simply making space for the things that are meant to come together. You were never meant to settle. You weren't meant to shrink just to fit into spaces that don't honor you. You weren't meant to chase people or plans that weren't built to carry you into your purpose. And let me tell you this, what's ahead of you is not going to require begging, forcing, or stressing. It's going to feel right. It's going to feel aligned. You won't have to sacrifice your peace to keep it. You won't have to lose yourself to earn it. What's for you will come with clarity, not confusion, with growth, not guilt, with love, not fear. So stop trying to make broken pieces fit. Stop reopening doors that were closed for a reason. Stop thinking that just because it didn't work out, you missed your chance. You didn't miss anything. If anything, you dodged something that wasn't worthy of the woman you're becoming. Keep walking, keep believing, keep trusting that every ending is setting the stage for a beginning, and that every disappointment is an invitation to dig deeper, rise higher, and move forward with more intention. Life isn't trying to break you, it's trying to rebuild you. When things don't make sense, don't panic, don't shut down, don't go into survival mode, go into surrender. Let go of your grip on how it was supposed to be. Let go of the timelines, the pressure, the expectations. Lean into the unknown. That's where transformation begins. That's where breakthroughs are born. That's where the real story unfolds. You don't have to understand everything to trust the process. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the next step. You don't have to have it all together to know you're still on track. You just have to keep showing up, keep walking through the pain, and keep believing that every no is guiding you toward a better yes. It's all part of the plan, a plan that's not designed to hurt you, but to grow you, a plan that's shaping you into the woman who doesn't just survive disappointment, she rises from it. She evolves, she shines, and when it's all said and done, she realizes that the things that didn't work out were never the loss. They were the lesson. They were the preparation. They were the push she didn't know she needed. When the weight of life feels unbearable, when your heart is heavy and your spirit is tired, the one thing that can keep you from breaking is your ability to trust, not in what you see, but in what you believe. There's a strength that rises in a woman who continues to trust even when nothing around her makes sense. That kind of faith doesn't just survive the storm, it becomes the storm's quiet answer. It becomes the calm in the chaos, and from that trust, from that unwavering belief that something greater is working behind the scenes, comes the breakthrough, the blessing, the peace that surpasses all understanding. The moment you decide to trust, even when your circumstances give you every reason to doubt, is the moment your life starts to shift. It's easy to have faith when everything's going right, when the doors are opening, the answers are flowing, and your plans are unfolding just the way you imagine. But real trust is proven in the fire. It's proven when life says no, when people let you down, when time keeps passing and your prayers feel unanswered. That's when your faith is tested, not to break you, but to build something unshakable inside you. You have to stop looking for signs and start listening to your spirit, because sometimes there won't be a sign, there won't be a roadmap, there won't be a "this is the way" written in bold letters. Sometimes there's just a whisper in your heart that says, keep going. Sometimes all you have is a quiet knowing that even though you can't see the destination, the path will unfold step by step, and that's enough. That's where faith lives, in the unseen, in the uncertain, in the moments when nothing makes sense, but you keep showing up anyway. Woman, your strength isn't in how loud you shout or how many battles you fight. It's in how deeply you trust in the silence, in how fully you surrender when the outcome is out of your hands. Trusting doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It doesn't mean you won't have moments where you cry, scream, or wonder if you're strong enough. It means you don't let those emotions define your direction. It means you trust the process, even when it's painful. The process looks like losing everything you thought you needed. Sometimes it's walking away from what you thought you couldn't live without. Sometimes it's standing still when every part of you wants to run. Trust says, I don't have to understand it all. I just have to believe there's a purpose in this. And that purpose, it always leads to something greater than what you left behind. You don't always see the blessing until later. It might come wrapped in pain. It might be hidden in the delay. It might be buried under disappointment. But make no mistake, when you choose to trust through it all, you unlock a power that fear can't touch. You stop being controlled by your circumstances and start being guided by your conviction. And that's where peace lives, not in the absence of problems, but in the presence of trust. You can be in the middle of chaos and still be calm when you know deep down that this isn't the end of your story, that whatever is happening right now is simply setting the stage for something more meaningful, more aligned, more powerful. Let the world call you crazy for trusting without proof. Let them laugh at your silence, your stillness, your faith in something they can't see. But you know, deep in your soul, you know there's a reason you're still standing. You've survived too much to believe this is all for nothing. Every tear you've cried, every battle you've fought, every night you stayed up wondering when the breakthrough would come. It's not wasted. It's being multiplied, prepared, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Trusting changes you. It makes you less reactive and more reflective. It teaches you how to wait with patience, how to walk with grace, and how to love yourself even when life feels unfair. And as you grow in trust, you start to see that the things that once broke you were actually building you. The people who left were making space. The delays were developing discipline. The heartbreaks were leading to healing. So if you're in a place right now where everything feels unclear, where the weight is heavy and the path is foggy, don't panic. Don't lose hope. This isn't where your story ends. You may not see the outcome, but trust that the outcome is already written and it ends in your favor. That blessing you've been waiting for, it's coming, not because you chased it, not because you earned it, but because you trusted when there was no reason to. That kind of woman, one who trusts through pain, through confusion, through delay, is unstoppable. She doesn't break, she bends. She doesn't beg, she believes. She doesn't chase, she becomes. And in becoming, she attracts everything that was meant for her all along. Keep trusting, even when it doesn't make sense, even when the road gets rough, because that trust is the very soil your blessings are planted in. And soon enough, you'll see the harvest. You'll see why the wait was worth it. You'll see that the blessing was never late, it was right on time. So, woman, rise. Not because everything's perfect, but because your story ain't over. Stand tall, not because you feel strong, but because your faith is stronger than your fear. You don't need every answer. You don't need everyone's support. You only need to know the ending yet. All you need is to trust that this chapter, no matter how messy, is